What's good, guys? It's your boy CS. What a long week it has been. I am finally back in my office at home, cracking on with the grind and looking at crypto stuff for you. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the Bitcoin chart. As you know, I need to always look at my spider line chart, which is my favorite chart, the historic support and resistance bands, right? So, the prior weeks, we had only grazed through this blue spider line, which is a historic resistance zone, right? And last week we blasted through, and this week we're now in kind of that middle zone, right? If I posted another spider line, it would be right in the middle there, right? And so, what could happen next week? Well, we could come back and test the blue line at 61,669. And again, I think that's healthy for Bitcoin that we have a retrace down there. And I really do think it's just going to be a retrace, a pullback. I don't think it's going to be blood on earth and all that kind of stuff that some bears are getting at. Again, I could be wrong. Everyone is entitled to be wrong. But I do want to see how Bitcoin reacts to the weekly 20 EMA, which is that red line. As you know, I love EMA ribbons. I find it very, very simple. It's just so easy to move in a trend. And if we look here, it kind of coincides as well at 62,368. Again, this will probably come up a bit higher, but I do feel like we might get a retrace down to this particular region. If we go on to another historic support and resistance chart, similar to the spider line, on the weekly, we broke through and we bounced off this white one, which we had done numerous times, as you can see on the weekly, numerous times bounced off it. And now we're on to the pink historic resistance line. Blasted through, come back, technically retested this week. And I think we could have a second retest. I don't know why, I just feel like we do. Overall, I'll tell you the bigger picture in just a second, which is this chart, which is the descending broadening wedge pattern, which ultimately Bitcoin will do something like that. It'll either hit and then come back down. It'll go over and come back down. It'll go over, retest, come up, retest, and then go. Remember, we've got a lot of time. Because the elections in the US is in November, and it usually doesn't rocket till around November. Don't get me wrong, you should be accumulating around, at the end of September and October. So these are definitely dips to buy. Be careful if you're shorting, because again, I'm not going to be a perma bear. I've been a perma bull from all the way around down here, right? So all the way down here, I've been a perma bull. But I've always tried to keep a level head when it comes to bias, because acting on emotions can really get you in trouble. And so, as you did see in the VIP chat, I did take out three shorts actually. One on Brett, which I've closed, one on Ponky, which is ongoing, and one on Reef, which is more of a hedge because I've still got a long option going on. So again, I'm doing shorts off my own accord, and remember, the trend is fully against me. This is more of a retrace until we see anything more drastic. And if we look onto the horizontal support and resistance zones, as you saw, we broke through the point of control here in that yellow zone. Now we're in this pink or maroon ready zone of point and control. And so this is the bit where, again, I do see we'll have to somehow get some type of retest here at a minimum. But do we come down further? I mean, if we look historically, this zone, we've not really been able to hold well. We come up, and we always come back down, and we come out of it very, very quickly, right? Same here. It came up, down, touched it, came back down, came all the way up, and then came all the way down, right? Very much similar here, right? So this middle zone, this pink zone, let's call it, is a zone that's very hard for us to stabilize in. And so as a point of control right now, Bitcoin obviously needs to get out. It's got 2 weeks to the upside. On the daily, doesn't look so good, but if we zoomed in, it doesn't actually look so bad. Like the wicks are getting ate up, all the dips are getting ate up very, very drastically. Very, very drastically. So yeah, I think it is positive signs for Bitcoin long term. That's what I have. We've broken out of that massive symmetrical triangle now, so I can now actually move this. I might even keep this trend line and extend it just for future reference. But one of the key things I'm looking at is this rising wedge. So if we zoom in, maybe I'll go on the 6 hour for you. See how we're just bouncing in between this zone at the moment? And so right now, if we broke out of the wedge, and eventually I think we do have some type of pullback, even if it's a very tiny pullback, right? If I go onto the edge of the wedge here, let's say it comes down on Sunday. If we go 3.23, there you go. Goes right to the weekly EMA. And so that's where I'm looking at. Sometimes when the stars are aligned, And that's a short that I'm willing to take and to keep my stop loss anywhere around 66.7. Because if we do get through 66.7, I'll be honest with you, we are going to go straight to the 67.5, 68.4 region. And that again coincides with the descending broadening wedge pattern, which is here within this, this region, 68K. So yeah, I'd keep a very tight stop. I wouldn't go all full balls to the wall with a short here. Be very, very careful if you are shorting like me. Treat it as a retrace more than anything. If I go into the wave patterns of Bitcoin, if I start off quite high, weekly still coming up. We've got a long way to go on the weekly. This will do numbers up until like January, February, March. So we are good here on the weekly. 4-dayer, it's producing a longer wave where there's a divergence here, as you can see. This one has eclipsed this one from the 15th of July. So bullish on that chart, 3-day going up. 1 day, and this is where I'm looking at, which is 1 day looks over roasted now. Wave pattern has been moving since the 8th of September. We've just been going up and up and up. It doesn't necessarily mean we can't still go up, but I still do think we need a little bit of a retrace here. Divergence on the 12 hour. This one hasn't eclipsed this. So producing a divergence. Look how many divergences were provided. And so even if you do get the divergences, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to get a short, because now this wave has eclipsed both of those and it's restarted again, which means that technically we could just be on another upward trend move. Same with these. Look how many divergences on here. This 4 hour has actually eclipsed the last one. And so there is no divergence anymore. It's a fresh new wave. And that's why I'm saying to you, be very careful. These wave patterns are really helpful normally, but in times when there's a tide of a trend like this, it can be difficult. Now here is a divergence. So from this one to this 1 hourly has now creeped down. As you can see, the wave pattern's now coming down. But if we look at the chart, and the chart tells us everything, the wicks are getting ate up. Like what an hour, that's a 1 hour candle that's just gone straight down, nothing but sell pressure, and it's nearly turned out green, right? So I think that's also what we need to be aware of, which is actually, even though it looks like it's going down, from the wave patterns and RSI and whatnot, we should just be aware of what's happening on the chart. And like, if I go onto the chart, right, and if I look at, like, let's try to brainstorm here. Like, where is this bouncing off? It's bouncing off. Well, it's always been bouncing off the 1 hour 20 EMA, and now it's come down to around the 100. Let's see if it's touched anything down here. No. See, I still think it has a bit of maneuverable room to go down here. We'd have to see, obviously, but from a higher time perspective, I just feel like this has more of a short in me right now. And to corroborate and to finalize, actually, is the USD chart. Now, I know this looks horrendous for some people. I love it. I'll remove some of the stuff because we don't need some of it now. But it's bounced off the 200 EMA, right? But bear with me here, bear with me. I know there's a lot of horizontal zones, colourful zones and stuff like that. But you see this zone here at 5.32, this orange line, right? Notice that we've had a number of candlesticks basically wick and graze it. So 1, 2, 3,